through it. Come on. Come on, get up. Come on, get up out of it. Come on. Get up out of it. Come on. Get up out of it. Pull through it. Come on. Come on, get up.
Just thinking about like the constant everyday things that you have to keep up with in your life for the entirety of your life literally stresses me out. You have to make sure you're eating healthy, you have to make sure you exercise, you have to
Her caption says existing is exhausting. And then her description says it's an endless cycle.
the entirety of your life literally stresses me out. You have to make sure you're eating healthy, you have to make sure you exercise, you have to make sure you have a job, you have to make sure you're making money, you gotta pay bills, you gotta look for jobs, you gotta interview, you need an internship, you need to constantly buy and keep up with your necessities, making sure you're going to your appointments, making sure you're taking care of your mental health. You need to be cleaning your house, you need to be cleaning your room, you need to be socializing, make sure you have time for that, you need to be involved. You need to make sure you're eating constantly. You need to make sure you're eating. You need to make sure you drink water every single day. You need to make sure you're going outside. You need to make sure you're talking to people. You need to... I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I'm 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 tired. Just thinking about like the constant everyday...
You might need some therapy. She might need to get
I
a
really
therapist.
don't blame people for not having a will to live, not having a will to work, not having a will to do.
Her caption says, well, let's just get into it.
A will to live, not having a will to work, not having a will to do whatever, especially in this society. Like, look around you. Why would anyone be happy with the current system that we are in? A lot of people like to call my generation lazy, say that they don't want to work, but there's no incentive anymore. Back then, you could be working a minimum wage job and still afford to feed a family. Now you can't even afford to feed yourself. So it's just like, what the fuck is the point? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of us are just so tired of living in a society that does not see our worth, that does not see our value, that does not, just like, we're not getting the fruits of our labor, essentially. It's all...
Well, here's the thing. She said back then you could, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if she knows that that's true, that you could just make a living off of a minimum wage salary with a family. I don't know about that, ma'am. You always had to have a good job. It was known as that. People would say they have a good job, meaning that you can have a job and actually take care of your family. So I don't the minimum wage jobs have always and traditionally been reserved for teenagers. So that's one. Now, and if you wanted to make a living off of a minimum wage job, then you would typically have to pair multiple minimum wage jobs and you would have to actually leverage your time. But I digress. But ultimately, here's the thing. Even if that was the case, yes, I would agree. Wages were more in proportion to the inflation at the time in the past. Sure. And they had been going up somewhat in a way to where it was better. But at the same time, think of the things that we have today. Information is in everybody's fingertips, as well as there's opportunities to make money online, as well as it's also even a global, or not global, but ultimately people can work remote today, which is not global, but that basically gives you the ability to work in all 50 states. And then you could work for a company that maybe pays you in proportion to a higher paid state, and then you can go move to a lower paid state. All type of options. You have more options today is what I'm saying. But that's if you're actually willing to take some initiative. That's if you're actually willing to be savvy. Now, I'm never going to discount the fact that times are hard. And I think where it gets harder, is when you take into the account the distractions and everyone vying to be a distraction. Ultimately, you have corporations who have technology and who are going after your attention bad. They want your attention bad, and they're trying to get it by any means necessary. So you're distracted. So a lot of people are distracted, as well as the distractions that they see sometimes can lead to comparisons. And those comparisons can already kind of deplete you because you're sitting here ruminating and you're dreading doing now what you have to do because by comparison, you can see somebody else living their best life, which they're only showing you the glamorous parts of their life. But now you're seeing things that you wouldn't have seen before, or you would have just seen a celebrity and you would have just assumed that was only reserved for celebrities. So now it's draining your energy even more because now you're dreading the things that you have to do, or maybe even just the season that you're in within your life, which she's young. So that's typically how that works. But now she can see other young ladies like herself somewhere out in Miami or in Dubai doing all this. And now she doesn't necessarily feel so good about her life and she's not able to really stop and smell the roses. That's what I believe. But let's get back into it. Y'all, before we do though, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And it's literally just a click. It's literally just a click. So if you're here anyway, you might as well click that like button. And also if you could hype as well.
See our worth, that does not see our value, that does not, just like we're not getting the fruits of our labor, essentially. It's all just labor, 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 labor. And I'm 21 years old. I'm in school. I know that I'm going to have a good career. However, I do not blame people younger than me who are still in my generation or even Gen Alpha just not having a will to try in school. Because it's just like, bro, like, what are we even trying for at this point, And it's just like, I know I tell you guys to have a positive outlook and to have a positive mindset, which is what I'm working on, but it is so hard to work on having a mindset when your society reflects the opposite. Let me know what you guys think.
You
I
know,
really don't blame
you know
people
what's funny?
for not having a will to live.
Here's what's funny, and then we'll move on. I'll be quick. I'll be brief. Imagine being 21 years old and you're just now getting out into the job force. You just have finished childhood for the most part 3 years ago, and you're already complaining about labor. You ain't even been doing labor that long. I can see if you've been working your butt off for 15, 20, 30 years. How are you complaining about labor already at 21? And then it's no wonder why we have so many able-bodied people either trying to get pregnant or just being single and able-bodied and still trying to get on government assistance. You already are lazy and you haven't even started yet. You just starting and you already tired of it. Like you've been doing it back breaking work for your entire life. Yeah, she said it in there. She needs to have a little bit more perspective. You got your whole life ahead of you. You really don't have anything to be concerned about just based off what you said. But let's go ahead and get into some other clips though. His caption
It's so
says,
unfortunate in
everyone
today's
is
society, bro.
his caption says everyone is becoming too desensitized. Hmm.
Today's society, bro. We have become too desensitized, and people are starting to become very emotionally unavailable. It's only because people don't care anymore. Like, for example, like a few weeks ago, right? I went to the mall and I was walking towards the entrance doors. And then this young snow bunny, looks like Gen Z, my generation, or Gen Alpha, opens the doors for me. I said thank you 2 times. She didn't say a word. All you heard was crickets in that motherfucker. I'm like, damn shit. You're welcome. Then later,
Okay, yeah, you might have a point. I don't know if that means you're desensitized. Antisocial, maybe. I had a similar situation. I went to Cheesecake Factory yesterday, got a cheesecake, and I was like, thank you. I'm the customer. And she was kind of dismissive a little bit. But like it was just like no customer service. I agree on that. But I don't know if that means desensitized. But he's right though.
you're welcome. Then later that day, right, I saw this Hispanic woman that had a fiance, right? I spoke to her like a few times. She had a whole man and shit. Understandable respect. So I went up to her to say thank you, bro. She was acting so awkward. Like, it's like she didn't care about the talks we had last time. And it's like, it was so awkward talking to her. It's like she didn't care, and she was the one that gave me the word about this job I used to work at now. And yes, I spoke about these situations in a previous video, so it's about lack of morality. So y'all go on the page and check that out. But my point is that, bro, people don't care to talk to people no more, and I'm starting to like do the same thing too. But I don't want to have that mindset like, man, I don't want to talk to people, fuck people, you know what I'm saying? I feel like at the same time, there's so much going on in the world, especially with these files releasing and all this other stuff, bro. People are making memes about this shit, dude. Like, people don't care. Like, it's a joke to people. People are not taking this stuff
Hold on.
seriously.
I need to watch another one of his videos just to see if he's like on the spectrum or something. Cause I had lost track. Hold on. Let me see him talk about another topic.
So in this day and age,
it says calling people broke in this economy is corny. We all wage slaves. Let's see what he got to say about this.
So in this day and age, if you're out here calling people broke, especially in this economy, you're just a corny motherfucker. I'm not gonna lie. Because is it really an insult, especially the state of the world we live in right now? Gas prices going up, bills is going up, groceries are going up, rent is going up, and then you got this person telling you, oh, you can't get a new car, you can't make car payments. It's like, you got the money, trust me. Yes, you do. So I'm a little jealous, but not too jealous, you know what I'm saying? Like, it inspires me to do better, you know? But it's really the circumstances and the hard times we go through as a average day person. Because there's some people out there that'll clown the average day working person that, oh, you work at McDonald's? Damn, bro, do better. But yeah, I bet you their ass is probably working at fucking Burlington making 12 an hour, or fucking Walmart for 14 an hour. Like, we're at the same level, gang. Like, at least that person has a job to survive in this economy. 2 or 3 jobs more. So yeah, that's why I feel like that shit is so corny to say to somebody, especially in this time. It's the wrong time to be calling somebody broke. Like, we literally work in minimum wage jobs. Like, cut this shit out.
Well, let me tell you this. Hold on.
I'm just past the point of caring enough about any
F the economy. I'm just go off this day and age. I mean, if you put the two videos together, then they actually fit together perfectly, because the premise in the first video is that people are desensitized today. I don't think his point proved that, but I believe it's true. People are desensitized. You see a mass shooting, and you see it. It could be at a school, and then most people just go on about their day. They're like, "Oh, that's sad," and then they go on about their day. They are desensitized. And so, how I correlate to what he just said about calling people broke? Shoot, people desensitized about life and death. They don't even value life the way that they really should. So you F around, you go out here and call somebody broke, especially with the way that people's egos are in the US right now. If you mix the egotisticalness with the desensitization, shoot, that is a cocktail, a deadly cocktail. Shoot, you call somebody broke and they desensitized about life or death, they might take your life. The way that the US is right now, for lack of better words. His caption says, I just don't care about jobs anymore.
I'm just past the point of caring enough about any of these jobs. End of sentence. But no, for real, I will never put these jobs in front of my life, in front of the things that I want to do and the way that I want to live. But I did for so long. There were so many trips I didn't take and vacations I didn't go on and events that I missed. All because as an adult, I had to ask permission from another adult if I could live my life, and it was denied. Or because I didn't have enough vacation time. And something very interesting happened to me when I re-entered the job market a few years ago and realized what a joke the entire system had become.
Well, here's the thing, man. Things still gotta run. Things still gotta run. Imagine your house floods. Imagine your house floods. And you need a plumber. Otherwise, things are just gonna get worse and worse and worse. And imagine you call the plumbing company and they're talking about our whole team's on vacation right now. We're not gonna be able to get out there for at least another week. And as a matter of fact, we actually have a backlog of other people. So now that I'm looking at it, it's probably going to take 2 weeks. You're going to be like, you ain't going to want to hear nothing about that, living their life and having to ask somebody for permission to take off. So, yeah, I don't think it should be super rigid PTO rules where you can never take time off. But at the same time, what are we talking about here?
A few years ago and realized what a joke the entire system had become. I began to develop this mindset that no job mattered enough for me to put my life on hold anymore. And a belief that there's always going to be another job. There's always going to be another way to make money. I had a job last year that told me I couldn't take days off between June and September. But I had a trip I wanted to go on. So guess what I did? I quit that job. Am I saying that's going to work for you? No, I don't know your situation. If you have kids you need to feed or a mortgage you need to pay for, that's obviously not going to be the best solution for you. I am saying that so many people allow these jobs to trap them in situations they don't want to be in until they feel hopeless to get out. You're replaceable, these jobs don't matter, and there's always going to be another job. There's always going to be another way to make money. And if you can learn to reinforce that belief, you're always going to find another way. When you're 90 years old, are you going to be happy that you stayed and worked extra shifts because the lunch rush needed to be covered? Or are you going to be...
I think two things can be true at the same time. You don't have to put your entire life on hold just for a job that really doesn't care about you that much. I agree with that. But at the same time, just telling people, especially in today's time when layoffs are through the roof, telling them there's always going to be another job and there's another job right around the corner. Once you quit your job and you just quit your job and just say, "No, I'm traveling." You come back, you don't have a job, you don't have a way to pay your bills. It depends on your situation, your personal situation. But you also have to make certain decisions based off of the landscape and the environment. And right now, the environment is in favor and the market is in favor of the employers. Objectively. Objectively, right now, it's in favor of the employers. Honorable mention during COVID, it was in favor, in a lot of cases, for some places, to the employees. Sometimes there are shifts, sometimes there's fluctuations. But right now, the fact is that the job market is in favor of the employers for so many ways. They actually want to get rid of a lot of their workforce so that they can have a valid reason to basically replace you with technology, whether that's AI or automation, as well as the fact that things have just flipped and the leverage is on the employer side right now. There's so many people that need a job, especially due to layoffs. You've got more people flooding the market who were good professionals, as well as you got people who are losing their assistance who are being forced to finally get off their lazy behinds and go to work. So there's a lot of people flooding into the job market. And so you don't want to make a rash decision based off of a short-lived vacation, in my opinion. That's in my opinion, though.
Is anyone else just tired? Like not sleepy tired, tired of existing tired.
Her caption says, millennials are exhausted AF. Is anyone else existentially tired? Not sleepy tired?
Is anyone else just tired? Like not sleepy tired, tired of existing tired. I'm a millennial and I believe we got handed the world's worst relay baton. We grew up being told to go to college, so we did. And we walked straight into a recession with a degree in prayer. Then, when we finally started to get on our feet, here comes COVID, shutting everything down. Businesses, dreams, relationships, funerals we couldn't even attend. We watched people die on television. We watched the news break us in real time every single day. We got social media right at the age when our brains were still forming. Nobody warned us what that was going to do to us. We're the generation that had to raise ourselves emotionally because our parents were either working 3 jobs or emotionally unavailable, or both. We are the ones taking care of aging parents while trying to figure out how we're going to retire when it looks like retirement doesn't even exist for us. Houses are unaffordable, therapy is expensive, and going to the grocery store feels like engaging in active warfare because the prices are so high. And everyone keeps saying, just be positive, as if we didn't live through multiple historic events in one lifetime. I saw someone in the comment section saying they wanted to switch timelines, and I felt that in my chest because, baby, it's not just them. That's a whole...
Yeah, but ma'am, listen. There's nothing new under the sun. There have been horrible financial periods throughout history, economic periods throughout history, wars throughout history. What do you think happens if the US is actually involved in a war? Do you think those are great economic times? As well as the fact, of course, that I know you haven't considered, which I love the way she articulated everything. So I like her. She's cool. But I know you haven't considered the fact that don't you know it's like literally been men in history and time periods that they had to grow up with that they didn't even get to live their life and they actually had to go get sent off to war to die and be diversions? Do you really think about that? Like when we're talking about the worst periods or whatever, this is actually the period where if you really apply yourself, you can basically craft the life that you want. And actually, you have the greatest chance of actually being able to escape having to actually work. But beyond that, there's people who were having real jobs. They were accountants, they were dentists, and then they got drafted and they had to go fight in a war somewhere in Vietnam and just got dropped off on a plane and said, they told them, "Hey, when are we get to leave?" They say, "We'll come back and get you when you've won." Imagine that. Sleeping in the forest with it raining on you, with people in ditches hiding in camouflage and ghillie mantles wanting to take their life. And they barely have any training and they never intended on being in the military. So we got to really think about what we're saying. History is a great indicator. And again, a lot of things are cyclical. The economy, especially, has always been cyclical. So there's going to be ups and downs, up periods, down periods. But yeah, a lot of millennials had to deal with COVID. But keep in mind, so when you say when they get out here into life, they had to already deal with COVID and all this type of stuff. There were people during other periods of America where as soon as they finished high school and they got out into life, they got drafted and had to go get sent off to be unalived in a savage and vicious and violent manner. So keep that in mind.
Y'all ain't tired. Nothing in particular.
His caption says, "This ain't the adult life I was told about." His description says, "Earth is in the projects right now. I'm tired."
Y'all ain't tired. Nothing in particular. Just tired. I'm tired. Tired of what's going on in the world. You got meteorites falling from the sky. That's probably rockets. Men and women hate each other. People ain't dating to love no more. It's all transactional. You gotta buy a horse because gas so expensive. It's too expensive to just...
Shoot, you might have to buy a horse because these cars are so expensive. Shoot, before you even get to gas part, you got to get you a car. And these cars is no joke, the way that they pricing these cars.
Because gas so expensive. It's too expensive to just have a vehicle anymore, so it's just cheaper to buy a horse, let them eat grass, and just ride the horse to places. Everybody got these big old teeth in their mouth. They going to get the cosmetics, and they got piano keys in their mouth.
That was good.
Netflix keep going up. It's almost $87 to get a Netflix.
Shoot, they got ads now on Netflix. Netflix got ads now. It's over.
Plan to somebody to be able to share it, and you don't have ads in it. You want kids. Daycare costs about $1,700 a week. So you can't have kids. If you live in Houston, if you cough, you end up with bumps somewhere that's not supposed to be somewhere. Honda Civics cost as much as Ferraris now. The kids in school can't read. They're gonna be our nurses and doctors. We got 75-year mortgages getting ready to come around. If you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a 2-bedroom house, they cost $750,000 now.
Shoot, 75-year mortgages. Shoot, you gonna finance your car for 75 years. F around. That's really what's coming. That's what people gonna have to do. Everything is becoming something for somebody to capitalize off of. And especially when we're talking about loans, oh yeah, people getting extra predatory with the loans. Extra predatory. And loans are becoming a new form of slavery. What's about to happen is it's about to be definitely be a divide, and it's gonna almost be like olden times when you had kings. Because it's dang near getting to the point where the middle class is starting to be non-existent. And so if there's no longer a middle ground, i.e., a middle class, then what that essentially says is there's only two sides, which is what used to be back in the days of royalty. You had the royal class and you had the peasant class. And so if you get rid of the middle class, that's ultimately what you're left with, right?
If you want to buy a 2-bedroom house, they cost $750,000 now. Nobody's hiring. They ask you to upload your resume into the application, and then they asking you to fill out your work history. I don't understand that.
Oh,
It's
man, that's funny.
2026. I'm tired. I know y'all gotta be tired too.
I don't think people like me as much as they think they like me. Or maybe it's
Her caption says, being human is exhausting. He said, being human is exhausting. What other type of species you want to be? Shoot, you think being human is exhausting? Imagine being hunted. Boy, you definitely don't want to be an insect. I'll tell you that right now, boy. Them insects, they get done real dirty.
like understood. And I don't know how to not do that. It comes natural, but like I routinely feel so empty in friendships, out of friendships. It's in the people that like happen to collect me over and over again. And yet, like, if I'm not tailoring my interest or like the conversations I bring up to topics they already like, it's a problem. Those people are long gone for the most part, thankfully. But it's on the people who come around you once or twice, become obsessed with you, but only want to deal with you on their terms, whether or not you want to deal with them at all. It's on the people.
She said being human is exhausting. Listening to you is exhausting. What are you talking about?
I know this is going to be one of the most controversial things that I probably ever share, but I'm just as exhausted as everybody else is of how we're navigating this current human experience. And there are days when I get extremely sad. There are days when I get extremely angry and frustrated. And I experience my full range of emotion. We are all operating at different states of awareness, right? Like we all are walking through life with different stories. And some of us are walking through life with stories that we get from TikTok, which is the reality of what's going on in the world, right? Some of us get our information or stories from the news, from watching CNN, from watching Fox, from watching whatever, right? Others from reading newspaper. You get the point. Like every single person on our plane of existence and in our immediate communities are walking through life with different states of awareness, meaning what they perceive as reality is going to be different for you, for me, for everybody, right? And that is both frustrating as hell, because as much as I get upset and as much as I get frustrated.
Listen, man. What I had to learn on my journey, I've read a little bit, and I've definitely delved into the spiritual side. And by spiritual side, I just mean I've read some spiritual books and things of that nature. And there is a such thing as just going too deep in the rabbit hole and getting just too philosophical. You get so deep into the philosophic ideals and ideologies, you F around, you don't even care about life no more. And so that's what you see in this little stream of consciousness that she's got going on. You just getting too deep down the rabbit hole, man. You getting too away from life. And of course, being spiritually grounded is great, but not to when it's ultimately destroying your life, right? To where you're so discombobulated like this. Listen, when things get too complex, you just got to simplify. When things get too complex, you just got to simplify. And things are getting way too complex. You need to simplify this and you need to just worry about what's important for your life. And then I don't think you would be as exhausted because her caption said that
Our day, this is going to be one.
It's exhausting to be living like this. I didn't read the caption. But yeah, it would be exhausting when you're starting to get so philosophically complex within your own mind. You're thinking too much. So you just need to relax. You need to go do some great things, some good things that are good for your spirit that you like to do that maybe don't require much, especially in this economy as we've been seeing, because as we've seen from a lot of these stories, a lot of people are just exhausted from just doing what you have to do to survive, as well as navigating the times we're in. There's never been a time to where it hasn't had to be navigated. Again, there's been tons of things throughout history that were difficult for people, that required adjustment, and ultimately were inconvenient. And again, we're difficult, we're hard, would require you to have to stretch yourself and ultimately adapt to it. But what we see now is a plethora of things that's making that transition hard. And so you got to address that within yourself. And so she's discombobulated like this. A lot of people are mentioning they're exhausted. Well, what are some of the things we can control? For one, I don't think social media is helping it. I'm fortunate, I guess, to have lived in both times. And when I say both times, I mean pre-social media and post social media. Because I remember simpler times when things weren't so exhausting and when things were simpler and very great, awesome. But if we really are just real, especially the people who were fortunate in growing up in both times, things were not as exhausting back then, and we still went through world events. But now we got distractions everywhere. We've got constant comparison. We've got entitlement at an all-time high, where everyone feels entitled to be viral sensations and stars and rich and famous. And ultimately, everyone's narcissistic now in general. So, I mean, I think just everything in totality, I feel like we just need to get back to simplicity. In totality, we just need to get back to simplicity, and we need to discover what or rediscover what worked before and how we can tap back into that while still making sure that we are keeping up with all the latest advancements and cutting edge things that make our lives more convenient and easier, making sure that we're using them and they're not using us, right? Making sure that we're using the technology and the advancements for our betterment and that it's not using us for its betterment, whether that be corporations or data, whatever it is. But it's going pretty long, so we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I am a smaller creator, a smaller channel, we actually get more points per hype. And hype was designed for smaller channels. So that's why. But if you come across a video and you don't see the hype button, then it's probably been over 7 days and hype usually vanishes after 7 days. So for that reason, it's usually best practice if you want to hype to just go ahead and hype while the iron is hot on a newer video. And then also, if you want to become a member of the channel, join buttons on the video. And what becoming a member of the DXU family will come with is you would get badges next to your comments where it will show people that you are a member whenever you leave a comment, as well as you would get early access to content and also exclusive content that's not available for everyone else on YouTube. So again, if you want to become a member, join buttons on the video. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.